Hey, it's me, Saw. I'm back. It's almost like I never left, really, except I did. Today we are entering the Synchro event, Synchro Festival, whatever. We're going in, but we're going in. You know those people who cosplay, and you dress up as someone who sees something nice in the world and decides to just absolutely ruin it for everyone else. That's what we're doing today, because I hate math. I can't do. You know what? I can't do synchros because like there's just so much counting. I pulled the true king of all calamities, and so I built virtual worlds. So 3, 6, that's 4, 6, and 9. God damn, I can't do math. That's the extent of my mathematic ability. So I'm not playing synchros in the Synchro Festival. If you want to see me do it, maybe if there's enough like support, like the video, leave a comment saying you want to see me play synchros.
Another one.
And I guess I'll just suffer for you. But in the meantime, we're playing Yosenju's. I've got a deck list here that I'm not going to write down because that's hard. So you can just screenshot it and pray. And we'll get into it into a second. But before all of that happens, a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treats and Sakurako. Now answer me this, dear viewer. Do you have children to feed? Do you have a marriage that's falling apart? A 9-to-5 job where you're not respected or appreciated for the value of the work that you do? Well, I can help you with one of those problems. Tokyo Treats is a monthly snack box subscription service. I'm sorry. With Tokyo Treats, you get up to 20 of the latest, most exclusive, limited edition, and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks that are only available in Japan. You can't have these anywhere else. These Mad Lads have a limited time Sakura Pepsi, Japanese sake flavored Kit Kats, and just other awesome stuff to try out. Sakurako, on the other hand, they kind of clean with it. They like to keep it traditional. You get Japanese teas, artisan snacks, like the whole 9 yards. Now, you may be wondering, good sir, kind sir, you don't look like businessman Saul. You're not wearing a suit. What is this? You can't sell me things. Well, my rebuttal to you, my good man, is stop buying things from people just because they're wearing suits. But also, this is my traditional wear. I'm Nigerian, and this is our cultural robe that we wear to funerals, birthdays. Why did I say funerals first? Events in general. It's casual and formal at the same time, and I'm trying to share my culture with you. The same way that Tokyo Treats is sharing their culture with the world via the medium of, well, snacks, which is pretty damn cool. Now don't worry if culture scares you, they've got 24-page cultural booklets to help guide you through the entire box in case you don't know what you're looking at, which I didn't. Use my code in the pinned comment down below or the description. Either one, doesn't matter, but you don't have a choice, to get your boxes today. Thank you very much to Tokyo Treats and Sakurako for sponsoring another video. Alright, so this is the Yosenju deck list that I've been playing around with, and when I say playing around, I mean I change the ratios from time to time. I move things around. For example, I know I added in one more copy of Daibik, and I think I took out one copy of R. There's the Yosenju spell, right? There's the Yosenju spell that it does stuff and things. You're here to watch funny man do fun stuff, okay? That's shut up, right? The main point of the deck list, what I want to explain as the main point of the deck list is effectively when it comes to the Synchro Festival, people are always making those big boss monsters, those massive boards and doing stuff and things, and then they tend to land on like 1, maybe 2 negates or something like that, or just a big monster that does lots of different stuff. So what I do is I kaiju their big monster. I say this is gone now. This is non-targeted removal, and then the whole point of this deck is Yosenju Kama 1, Daibik, or Hitot, to then summon onto the field. Now, this card, Kama 1, can send back a card that's on the field, a face-up card, to the hand. I send my kaiju back to my hand, and on that same turn I can kaiju again, because, you know, kaijus aren't once per turn, they just say you can only control 1. So, that's the thing you can do. This card returns 2 cards, set, not set, doesn't matter, and then this also returns 1 card, and then you just go in for DKs. We're all about returning to the hand, running Storming Mirror Force, just the whole shebang. Let's get into some replays. Now, this next person was being kind of spicy. They were playing Guardians. Their name is Cry Sheep. So you can kind of see what their perspective is on the standard like meta of the game. I've been hearing that word a lot being thrown around by Yu-Gi-Oh players, like more so than other games. Like when you follow a meta, there's that sheep tag that gets put on with it. I hate that. But regardless, my opponent is going first. It's the draw phase. They're gonna be here for a while. It's Guardians, right? I don't have any hand traps, so I'm not interacting with them at this stage. Guardians do a lot to get very little from what I've seen. I've never played them, but normally like there's a bunch of summons that goes through. There's a bunch of like look, they're just slam, and and then they land on like one monster, maybe two. And it doesn't do a whole lot, but this was, I felt like, a good example of what I wanted to demonstrate. Also, I like this guy's name. So, turn change, he does 1,500 damage to me, and I kaiju him. I didn't read the rest of his card's effects, but I kaiju'd him. Now, based on the cards I have in my hand, I've got everything that I need here. So, I'm going to normal summon comma 1, that normal summons comma 2 will normal summon the other pendulum card. These aren't special summons. Maxi has nothing on this deck unless you choose to pendulum summon. I gave myself back my kaiju, added a card to my hand, Sword Sting, so I can interrupt them on their turn, and I'm swinging in some more, so it's easy, right? You always go main phase 2 for this deck because at the end phase, because everything comes back to your hand, you will probably have to discard cards, so you always go main phase 2 to set whatever you can to avoid having to discard cards to the graveyard. That is a problem. Now, they're doing whatever, they're doing something, right? They're Cardians, they're Cardianing, right? Now, this card I think destroys spells and traps, so I activate Sword Sting, bounce it back to hand, and I'm just gonna let them finish. The duel is over. Like, spoilers, the duel is already over. He does, I don't know if he does it on purpose or if it's unintentional, but why I want the fast forward to be faster. Okay, there we go, never mind. GG's. Now, a lot of these replays only take like 2 or 3 turns, because like after we would just surrender. After all of that hard work, you kaiju them and then you yoink back the kaiju. A lot of people just give up at that point. Or you OTK because you're very good at getting a lot of field presence and not many hand traps can really stop you. So my opponent's going first. This is a going second deck, by the way. If I haven't said that so far, this is 100% a going second deck. Now my opponent's using background. I'm like, I bet Harpy's Feather Duster. It's the one of we top deck, right? Now I'm trying to remember what game this actually is. Oh, I remember this one. Okay, so my opponent is playing, they don't have an extra deck. I think they're playing True Dracos, and they want to really control the board to a degree. Now, I'm gonna keep it a buck. This game isn't the most interesting. My opponent bricked to a degree. What I wanted to showcase was something really cool that happened. I Ash Blossomed that card of Demise, it's fine. That doesn't really matter. What the cool thing happens in a few turns from now, so we're just gonna fast forward through it. And that's the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! When it happened, okay, so fun fact, I was playing this game on the toilet, on my iPhone, and I was like, oh my, and I finished, and I was like, yo, sweet, I went to my girlfriend, I was like, yo, look at this awesome thing that I just did, right? And, okay, so, this is what I love about Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Because I've never had this interaction before. I've never seen this happen before. It was just really, really cool to me in the moment. So excuse me for nerding out over it. If it's not that cool, it's not that cool, and I understand that. I just felt like in the moment, like, oh, that felt so anime, bro. Okay, so. It's my opponent's turn. They're going through it. They have one card in hand, right? Now, they activate that set card. They activate Card of Demise. What Card of Demise says is draw cards until you have 3 in hand, and then in your end phase send all the cards in your hand to the graveyard. Now, my opponent has 1 card in hand, which means it's probably a monster, and it's a monster that they can't summon right now because you would, if it was a spell or a trap, you would just put it on the field to avoid it getting in the way of you drawing 3 extra cards. So, they activate Card of Demise. I chain my Yosenju Sword Sting to the Card of Demise, and those 2 face up, because I can get spells and traps too. I bounce those back to hand, and because of the chain resolving backwards, by the time Card of Demise tries to resolve, there's already 3 cards in hand. So even though it was able to activate, it wasn't able to draw any cards, which I just found really cool. And then in the end phase, they still have to discard their hand, and it was in Nibiru, right? That is the entirety of what was cool about this duel. And now I know what the face down cards are, so I don't have to be afraid of them, and I just go in for game, right? That was maybe I'm just small brain and it feels cool for no reason, but like that was fun. Okay, so I'm gonna show you one more before we round up. This one was one that I found to be really enjoyable because like there was a lot of thought going on, but it only took 3 turns, but so much communication happened between me and my opponent, so much thought, so much dancing around each other that I just found it quite interesting. So I open in a Nibiru in my hand, my opponent is playing Synchro, so they're doing the whole, so I'm a fast forward through all of this, right? Now, 2 monsters on the field. This is their 3rd summon, and then Drunk Speeder summons a bunch of monsters on the field. Now, something interesting happens here. My toggle was not off. I wasn't hiding the fact that I had it in Nibiru because I'm just playing casually. I wasn't trying to sweat or anything like that. And so on their 5th summon, they realize, hey, yo, this ugly They know I have Nibiru, and so it's like, okay, what do I do with what I currently have on the field to avoid getting hit by a giant rock? What he chooses to do is that the next move that he makes that I can respond to, he immediately goes in to Red Supernova Dragon. Now, what Red Supernova Dragon does is they have a negate, and it's not, okay, so it's not a negate, and here's the thing. When I was playing the duel, I thought it was a negate, which affected how I chose to play in the duel. Now, after the fact, I realized that they summon this because it can chain to, what this card does is it banishes all the cards on my field and banishes itself, so it could save itself from the Nibiru, and then that way he would have some recovery and so on and so forth. And he would be able to banish the Nibiru that gets someone onto the field, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that part. Actually, no, but how the chain resolves, he wouldn't get to banish my Nibiru, so that's absolutely fine. But yeah, he's got something on board that would allow him to survive. Now, in the moment, like I said, I thought that this was a negate, and so I didn't activate my Nibiru because of that belief. Now, he goes through, he does the rest of his play. I'm like, okay, if I'm not gonna Nibiru this turn, all I have to do is Kaiju it. All I have to do is Kaiju it, because the second I start setting up a board, he's going to, you know, banish everything. So I Kaiju first, then I get my monsters on the field, I start racking up my pendulum scales, doing the damn thing and all that good stuff, and now I know that next turn I can safely Nibiru. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. I get myself my Kaiju back, I go into the battle phase, I swing a little, do a little damage, and I'm ready to sit back and hang on to what I've got in hand. I only put one of my spell cards, trap cards, on the field, just in case he feather dusters it. You never know, lightning storm, all that stuff, it's running rampant. So this turn I'm like, okay, yes, I will Nibiru this time. I will do it before a monster that's a problem hits the field, but then I get, I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to see where this goes. I want to see how far he extends before I can, you know, stop him. And I don't know how to map. I don't know how to synchro, so I don't know when a negate is going to pop up, so I'm gambling a little bit, and I was like, oh, and then it happens. He puts a negate on the field, and not only does he put a negate on the field, he summons a monster back from the graveyard. So I'm like, I bet, that's, it's crazy that you've done that, because he knows that I have an Nibiru in hand. So in order to insulate his plays, he got the negate out first, and then he brings this one back, and it's like, oh, it's cool that you've done this. It's nice that you've done that. Activates that card in hand. I activate my Sword Sting, bounce and negates back to hand, because they only, the first one only negates monster effects, and the other one, it's not actually a negate. So I just found the interactions kind of cool. He kept on going is what I found phenomenal. That's what I loved about this duel, right? He kept on going, kept on making plays to the point where I was like, okay, I'm glad I've dealt with the negates. I respect you. Chin up. Like he's about to make a hole, like he's getting the tokens out. He's ready to go. He's ready to land on something nice. And I'm like, I don't want happiness for you. So I activate Nibiru at that stage. And you're chilling. You're chilling. He kept on going again, right? I thought he had some heat. He didn't really go anywhere from this, but he kept on doing stuff and things. And it was fun. I was enjoying myself. He was doing most of the heavy lifting, but I was enjoying myself. So yeah, I don't know what any of this is or does. He just, yeah. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. A massive thank you to Tokyo Treats and Sakurako again for sponsoring this video. Do not forget to get your limited time Sakura themed Tokyo Treat boxes for this month. And Sakurako's got this matcha and mochi theme going on. You're probably gonna like it. Check it out. These things are phenomenal, and you can only get them from one place, so you know what to do.